Hi. So to define the core components of virtual machine, we have the the Hyper-V, which enable the creation of virtual machine. We An example of Hyper-V is the VMware ESSi and the Microsoft Hyper-V. So in business use, the hypervisor use one physical machine to run multiple servers in a visual environment. We also have the host machine. The host machine is basically like a house that allows the entry of VM. So a host machine actually is there to us. It's like a physical computer which provide a CPU, which provide the RAM to the virtual environment. An example is the HP Proton server or the Dell. And in business use, a single host can be able to serve as a means of running several virtual systems in a business setting. And we also have the guest operating system. The guest operating system is also operating system that is installed inside of the virtual machine. And that guest operating systems example could be the Windows Server 2025 or 2022 or Ubuntu, Linux, and that of Unix or Linux. So in business use, the guest operating system is being used to test 5 for better business functionality. We also have the virtual hardware. That virtual hardware is a simulated CPU and a memory inside of the VM. So an example is the virtual NIC card or network interface card, the virtual CPU that is inside of the VM. And for business use, the virtual hardware is being used to assign specific resources to each department. And we also have the VM file. All right, the VM file is where all of the virtual machine data is being stored inside of the virtual machine. And an example could be the .vhdx, .vdi. For instance, you have all of your files shared with NTFS permissions and you need to back it up. So now in business setting or in business use, a VM file is easy to be copied and moved across the network. And it's also there to move various of VMs between the server. Now, to discuss the server roles, the server serve as a services point for providing basic service to the virtual machine, for giving it light. And with that light, it can be able to go through the creation of virtual machine. The server will be able to stabilize the virtual environment for better functionality. So now, as a domain fundamental components infrastructure, a domain is like joining or becoming part of a network in Active Directory services, where administrator can be able to use various virtual machines to be able to serve as a centralized point for executing various tasks. For instance, assigning NTFS permission for assigning group policy, assigning objects, creating computers, and a lot of users. So that's how really important the core components of virtual machine is. That's how important a domain is also contributing as part of a virtual system because virtualization promotes a domain network. For instance, in the server, you need to have a domain or a root. A domain root is where all of the network are joined, all of the computers, and they act on one single direction, which is the Active Directory. So basically, I think so far that's what I've been asked to do on this assignment. Thank you.